The state could also get rid of the grand jury system. England has done it. So you could get rid of the grand jury system, or the grand jury system as we know it. Those are mine.
All right.
Oh, and as far as
you took some notes, right? Okay. All right. Okay.
And as far as the church goes, just continue to tell people that faith with action.
Right.
And I think the churches are vital, not just the churches, the mosque, and there were even rabbis out there who got arrested and prayed in Crown Heights who got arrested with the protesters. So it goes across all denominations, but we have to pray, but we have to be active. We have to be active as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff going through my dome right now. One, I think that this church thing, what Dr. King said at the end of his life is very real. We need relevant ministries. You know, in my lifetime, you know, I grew up in the church when I was in when I got to high school, I was like, F the church. It's whack, these cats are pimps, straight up. You know what I'm saying? Why lie? You know what I mean? When I got to college, I was a Muslim. 5% nation gods on earth, Nation Islam, Orthodox Sunni Muslim, because they spoke to me. They were the first time I heard someone say, well, God looks like you. God's black. I'd never heard that before. Why am I saying that? You know, and I came back to the church, and she said I used to go to her church. I go to church in Harlem now. But I would not go to any church, black church, that doesn't do things outside of that church. I've been in Brooklyn, you know, we've had marches and rallies around violence prevention, gun violence, like the great work that Shana does. We've had churches actually standing in the door applauding us as we walking by instead of joining the church. I'm not going to say the names of the churches, but some of these churches in Brooklyn, because you know some bad people in Brooklyn, got all kinds of black young ministries. These churches don't do nothing to me. I don't know them all over Brooklyn. I don't never see them anywhere. You know what I mean? Talking a lot of stuff, but they talking about they're going to have a black male retreat where they go to the woods and read the Bible together. I'm like, that's cool. That's what you want to do, son, but what about these brothers on the corner? You know what I mean? What about these brothers that are out here trying to figure out how they can get high school diplomas or GEDs? What about these brothers who are coming from jail and know what to do with their lives? You feel what I'm saying? And so to me, I feel like, you know what, and I know just that, I'm saying this I'm a professional, went to college, the whole 9 yards, but I'm also from the ghetto. I ain't seen my father since I was a kid, grew up on welfare, food stamps, government cheese, had no positive black male role models whatsoever until I was 18, 19 years old, and most of the positive role models I found were in books and they was already dead. You feel what I'm saying? The most important thing you can do, whether you're a Christian or not, if you're a black man, show up in the community, son. Yeah. Be in the community. You know what I mean? When you go to work in the morning to the subway station, speak to these brothers. Say what's up to them. You know what I mean? Moise is my man. We just met recently, but he knows every day we can chop it up. You know what I mean? Do something to reach back for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Whether you got your own kids or not, you represent a father figure for a lot of these young brothers out here. And a lot of us, you know, have resentment towards older black men, not just because we didn't have fathers, but also because the black men who were around didn't really check for us either. You know what I mean? And so I think that a lot of us hide behind this religious stuff, which I think is whack. To be honest with you, I'm saying this as a Christian. I'm also a licensed minister, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to hide behind, well, I'm a Christian and, you know, somehow we are the center of the community. Because you ain't the center of the community. The hood is the center of the community. You know what I mean? Hip-hop is the center of the community. You know what I'm saying? She said it. Violence is the center of our community. And what we doing, those of us who go to church, we like spectators and whatnot. You know what I mean? If you really understand who Jesus was a ghetto dude, son. Jesus is from the gutter. You know what I mean? He was a dude who would be out there with the people, real talk. And so to me, you know, I think people are hypocrites when they even celebrate Dr. King every year because you don't know who Dr. King was. That dude, and then it was like, this dude got a PhD. You know what I'm saying? This dude won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was so honest and had such integrity, even though he had issues, he gave all the money he got from the Nobel Peace Prize. Even as he was raising 4 kids with his wife back to the movement because he didn't want to look like he was profiting off the movement. You know what I mean? So who was he with at the end of his life? Brothers who were garbage men in Memphis, Tennessee, because he's like, I gotta respect these brothers. It don't matter if I got a PhD, they don't have a GED. And so if you call yourself religious or spiritual, get out that church and get in the streets, because I'm gonna tell you real talk, and I get real angry about this, but brothers like me literally mentor hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young black and Latino males, not just in New York, all over the country, hit us up every single day on Facebook, Twitter, texting us, Cab, can I talk to you? And I'm saying to myself, man, I know all these dudes in these churches. I know all these dudes in my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. I know all these dudes, you know, who are professionals and suited up. Where the hell are they? Where are they, man? And so you want to know what you do. The most important thing you can do is not say I'm a Christian, is to show the hell up. in the community and be consistent about it. You know what I mean? Because this sister should not be out there more than a lot of brothers are out there. Real talk. You feel what I'm saying? And then the other thing, Moise, this is my man. Just invite people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I invited you to this. Invite someone younger than you wherever you're going. Young brother, young sister, hey, I'm going to this thing, and not get caught up in the numbers game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've done events where there's hundreds and hundreds of people. People couldn't even sit down. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 people. Everything is a teacher, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And we got to look at it like that. Like I said to you earlier, leaders make other leaders. If you're a fake leader, then you create followers. But leaders make other leaders. And you figure out, okay, here's a young person that has potential. Let me work with this younger sister. Period. That's what you do. And not get caught up is understand this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
This is a marathon.
I just tweeted that.
Okay. Wow. Yes, sister.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Marks, and I'm a co-founder of Voice of Exchange and everything. Well, my brain was going crazy just a second ago, but I have so many points. My first is that I agree with Shane, Sister Shane, and my question would be to Kevin Powell that he just answered, like, what do we do with black men in our community? I work inside of schools, and every day, all my students are seeing Bobby Shmurda. They want to be like him. They want to kill somebody about a week ago. They want to have a 9 million on their Glock. They really idolize those people. They have young African immigrant students who've been in this country a year, and they haven't found a male figure to idolize.
Right.
Bobby Shmurda is that person for them. And I just wanted to just make that point. But my real question is, for someone like me, young professional, I got my education at Howard University. I came back to New York and decided I wanted to get my master's. I sit in the classroom every day at Hunter. Took a class about Brownsville with students from all across the state. And how do we get our other white, other privileged people to understand what's going on in our communities? Like, they don't understand what it feels like to walk through Brownsville every day. They want to teach parenting to white people, want to teach parenting class who have no children, to people in the project. They are more concerned about smelly elevators and the dilapidated buildings, the failing schools, and all those other issues that are going on in the community. So I just felt like an angry person. For somebody who's been in the movement so long, like Kevin Powell, how do you deal with that frustration? Like, we've had our UP movements, we've had our Dodge Supporters, our Angela Davises, we've had all of those people, Carmichael, we've had all those people who have come up, and some of them dead, gone, living in Africa somewhere now. People are scared. I think my generation is scared. They're like, well, all those people died, they're gone. And then I think white people are scared. They're like, this girl's angry. What is she so upset about? What is she talking about racism? That doesn't exist because they don't see that. They don't feel that. So how do we get them to understand? How do we keep ourselves from being angry and frustrated?
I think you should be angry. But like I said before, this work has to be rooted in love at the end of the day. Like, it might sound mad corny to some people, but when I wake up every day, I'm like, I love people, I love helping people. This is my life work, ain't nothing else, you know what I mean? And you know what, I'm gonna say what Rasper Rocker said when he did a fundraiser here in Brooklyn before he became mayor of New York earlier this year. You know, it's beautiful to quote history, it's beautiful to say, well, this historical figure, that historical figure, but I'm more excited by these two dynamic leaders on both sides. I mean, Lawrence out there in the audience, you just have a microphone. We got to understand, you know, those people should just be reference points at this stage, you know what I mean? Malcolm, I remember Rick Pitino. Anyone a basketball fan out there? Rick Pitino, when he was the coach of the Boston Celtics in the late 90s, they was getting on, like, you know, he did a press conference, he said, look, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, they ain't never coming back. Y'all, all these folks that we keep talking about ain't coming back. Y'all are it. We are it. And so we got to dig within ourselves and say, I'm going to be the leader that I want to see. Moise was at a retreat with me, a leadership retreat on Saturday, right? You know, and one brother said that the most important thing you can do if you are serious about helping your community, if you are dead serious about helping your community, is be prepared in every way possible. You got to read like it's nobody's business. You got to study. You got to develop basic leadership skills. This doesn't happen by osmosis. Now, are some folks dynamic by nature? Are some folks good speakers by nature? Well, we know good speaker doesn't mean that you're a good leader. You know what I mean? Being a pastor of a church don't mean you're a good leader. Being an elected official don't mean you're a good leader. A good leader does a few basic things. One, she or he, because we believe in equality. Like this is the saying, that male-centered leadership stuff, leave that in the 20th century. Exactly. She or he changes the direction of the conversation. Stop saying what we ain't doing. Let's talk about what we are doing. You feel what I'm saying? Change the direction of conversation. See hope and possibility and beauty, even in the fact that there might only be 50 people in this room. You know, stop calling yourself a minority. When you ain't a minority, you are a person of color. You're an African person if that's who you happen to come, your ancestors come from Africa. Stop using the language that someone else gave you. You know what I'm saying? You know, a leader creates an institution, organization, or business, or runs it, sustains it, that serves the community. That's number 2. Number 3, a leader is accessible to the people that she or he claim to represent, if you're a leader. Number 4, you don't walk around talking about your leader all day. You just, like Audre Lorde said, you do the work. You do the work. You do the work. And number 5, what I just said to Moise, leaders create other leaders. Leaders create other leaders. Your work should be so dynamic that you become obsolete because you're just multiplying yourself. But if it's always about you and you being on a pedestal and everyone sucking up to you, you ain't practicing with Dr. King, if I can quote him for a second, a dangerous kind of selflessness. And we shouldn't support that kind of leadership anymore. Ain't no one person leader, ain't no one organization leader. We need as many different kinds of folks as possible. But I'll tell you this, I ain't working with no one who's about him or herself or their organization as if they're more important than anybody else. You gotta have the ability to work with different types of people. And we are it. It's us. And yet we should be angry, but let's be proactively angry where we are building stuff, not reactionary where we just get stuck and frustrated. I love all people, and that includes my white sisters and brothers, but because I believe in a healthy kind of consciousness, I'm simply not going to give white folks that much space in my brain where they're dominating, oh my God, what are they going to think? No. I move towards my white sisters and brothers like Kate Carrigan, Michael Cohen, people that I know who really are about my humanity and their humanity, and I work with them. And if other white sisters and brothers or other people get touched by that, God bless them, we're doing something, but I can't spend all my time worrying about what someone else thinks. That's giving away your power.
Right, I think that's saying about don't let people rent space in your head. You got to take them out, and it's okay to be angry. And I think, you know, Kevin, I hope somebody's taping this because Kevin's just spitting some language out there like, okay, all right, thanks. Then we might just have to copy some of that, Kevin. And the thing about it is that it's real. You know, when you think about leadership, and I said this, and I'm going to take what Brother Kevin said about the baton. I'll take that into my thoughts about that because I think about sitting here next to Shayna. When Shayna first started with me, was a young sister out there, but had all this potential. And for me, helping her grow up to be who she is right now, like I feel good. Like I'm okay with my gray hairs and the Clairol number 20 not being in the store for me tonight. But the real deal about it is that I can sit here and I can say, this is what I helped produce, right? So sister, when you talk about being angry, as an older sister in the industry right now, dealing with the movement, I still have to deal with my white counterparts, right? I still have to walk into the room sometimes. I gotta be sitting up here thinking about, is it my nappy hair? Is it my curves? Do I speak the same language? That is real for me, right? It doesn't change whether you have 3 letters behind your name or 2 in front of it. It does not change. The reality is that we have to be consciously awoken every single day to say that we are going to make a difference. And we align ourselves with people that are doing things. My circle has been shrunk, right? I shrunk my circle because, you know, people are like, oh, I want to hang out. No. The reality is if you're not doing anything that's going to make us as a collective move forward, I don't need to be with you, right? And so I align myself with folks who are doing things. And we don't always have to be. Kevin just said this. There are leaders that want their name on every single thing. Right? Otherwise, they're not coming. And I look at my brother and I say, it's my friend. This man, Kareem, walks the community every single day. I see him, he'd be in a barbershop hanging out with the folks on the corner, right? That's real talk. I can walk into the office and still talk to him. He's reachable. So if you're going to be a leader, as Kevin said, and I'm going to quote that, is that if you're going to be a leader, folks, and you are a leader, sister, yes, you're at Hunter College, you're sitting in the classroom, and you got people talking language, you're like, and you got sisters trying to tell your people how to train their kids, right? Okay. And so that's a bother to you. Yes, it's a bother to all of us, but it's for you to educate them. It's for you to call them on that stuff and say, hold up, wait 1 minute. Thank you so much, but this is a cultural kind of thing. I don't need you to understand it. See, we always try to tell people, oh, well, you need to understand it. No, I don't need you to understand my blackness. That's real talk. Every single day that I work, right? And I work in a very diverse community. I work in an organization that is, you know, CCI. All of the views are not their views. I'm very clear to disdain myself on that. This is Sharon E. Faye Charles, social activist, community activist, mother, and queen, that I don't want you to understand my blackness. I don't need you to understand my blackness. What I want you to do is to respect me as a human being.
I mean, I hear a lot about role models as well, and working with young people, especially the young people in the communities that I work with, I think a lot of times they don't identify with the role models that we are presenting to them. I learned a lot, I do a lot of work on trauma, because I think, trauma is very, very important when we're talking about gun violence and gun violence in inner city communities. The problem to me is a lot of times young people are always taught that in white neighborhoods, problems happen to the white students or the white young kids. And a lot of times in the Black and Latino neighborhoods, they are the problem, and it's a different conversation. So that you have these role models coming back to the communities where they are from, and they are telling the kids, like, I didn't have a mother, I didn't have a father, but look what I became. You can become the same thing. Don't worry about it, And it's not, no one is sitting down and talking to the young people about their trauma. And it's very, very important to not only tell a young person that they can overcome it, but to talk to them about what they are overcoming, what's wrong. No one's having those conversations. Everyone is just so focused on showing them that there's there's light at the end of the tunnel, but nobody wants to talk about the tunnel that these kids are running back and forth in. And that's very, very scary to a young person, and they just automatically shut off if you sit down with a young person and you say, you can get over it, it's gonna be fine. But it's not. Wow. Not right now, it's not. And I'm scared.
First
I don't know
what
to
are
do.
you can over?
So I can't identify with you, Carmelo and Anthony. I understand that you come from Red Hook, and I see that you're shooting hoops, and it's great, but I can't identify with you because you're telling me that it's going to be okay. But how? Can you feel how I feel? Did you ever feel the way I feel? The way I feel matters right now. So I think that if we are going to bring role models back into these communities, that they need to start to have those conversations about what the kids are going through right now, and not to continue to tell them that it will be over one day, just stay in school and focus. Because that is not the conversation that these kids need.
And
Actually, you
this
still
all
gotta say
ties
that,
back
though,
into our
actions.
conversation about the whole actions of the police department.
I said, actually, you
right?
still have to say that.
We're rounding this
It
into
just
this whole
happens
thing.
after,
We can collectively as a community,
after you explain to
what
them how
do
to
we
get
have
through the
to
issues
do?
they're dealing with.
Right, as much as we want NYPD to change, there's some things internally as a community, as a people, that we have to start dealing with. We are going through, and I always say this to folks, and folks look at me like, you didn't grow up in slavery. But I am still going through post-traumatic slave disorder. That's real. It is real for all of us. So I just want us to think, not to just go, ahead about what we're saying, but all of that we're talking about is a contributing factor to the way that things are happening as we try to change this system around NYPD and the way that they deal with our communities and the things that we're trying to get from them as a society. I know we have some other questions, or what's the time?
Yeah.
Brother.
How y'all doing? My name is Jason Hernandez, and I'm just really grateful that y'all came out tonight. So far, one of the first things that really resonated with me tonight was what the brother said here, and I think his introduction, he was like, the struggle is multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, people gotta understand that it's nothing's gonna happen overnight. Everything that we're all doing, like even right now, we're all contributing to the future, you know what I mean, in the progress. But one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is, what if, you know what I mean, y'all had someone maybe white that could articulate themselves on the panel. And on my way here, I ran into a brother. He was arguing with his child's mother or whatever, and he showed me the message, the way he said to her or whatever. And he's talking about how he felt that the wrong that Eric Garner did. So I just looked at him in the eyes, you know what I mean? And right off the back, in his message, he was like, you know what I mean, I was born in Cuba, but I think I'm as black as any other man on earth, you know what I mean? And he was fair-skinned, but you could tell he just had that aura. You could tell he's very African, you know what I mean? So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, you gotta understand, it's conditioning. And that's a conversation that's not held at all. You know what I mean? You don't see people on the news talking about conditioning. That's why I think white people don't understand racism, because you don't really understand that we're not nowhere near far removed from what's been going on to us. So it's in our DNA. But one of the things that he said to me was that the violence within our own community. Like, do we protest the next time there's a black on black crime? You know what I mean? Where a young brother kills another brother, do we take another stand and say, hey, we're going to protest this, make some signs about this, you know what I mean? And really change the conversation for y'all and see what's going on. So how y'all feel about that?
Okay. I think that's a question that came up about, I've seen it on social media in regards to this whole thought that this brother's talking about conditioning, in regards to why aren't we protesting the same way when there's a black on black crime?
I think,
Well, it's just because people don't value it.
one, Mayor Giuliani was speaking about this on the news with Michael Eric Dyson. So I think these are two separate issues, in my opinion. So when you talk about black on black crime, if you look at the numbers, the FBI, you could go on their website, they list the data and who the perpetrator was and who the victim was. So when you look on whites as victims of crime, the majority of the people who were the perpetrators were white. When you look at black, the majority of the perpetrators were black. So I think those are two separate conversations to have. One, because those people, black on black crime, when it happens, those people are put in prisons. Those people are jailed. And they're not police officers who were sworn to take an oath that they would uphold the law. So I think that is a conversation that distracts this conversation. I think it's a conversation needed in the bigger scheme of things on how we deal, but that's an internal conversation that we have as a community with each other. So yes, I think, like you were saying, it is ingrained in us. It's hard to tell a white person that they have privilege, as we were saying before. There's the culture of hegemony in this country, the predominant culture, the higher class, whether it's not, and I don't think it has to do with economics, I think it has to do with race when we're talking about America. But the culture of hegemony has a way where they shift power, and they think they give you a little of it. They're like, here, you got rap music now, you guys have a little money, you got this, you have a little money, but they still control it. They just shifted it a little, but they still control economically, they still control education. So that's a conversation we have to have as a community about, one, black on black crime, but don't let that distract us from this.
That wasn't my perspective at all. I was just taking what he had said to me and not saying that we should make that the conversation, but what if there was a group that thrown that in there out of nowhere, you know what I mean, and make people get that double consciousness, you know what I mean? I say, always look back to
that was me.
Boys,
yeah, I was just about to say, I always look back to the Bowie for that conversation.
This is why I was quoting the brother Lasana Hotel. We have to be prepared in every setting. And so here's how I would flip it, real talk. You know what I mean? You heard me say earlier, I grew up with a single mama, welfare, food stamps, government cheese. From time I was little, you're illegitimate, you know, you're disadvantaged, you know, you know, all kinds of negative terminology. Someone else was controlling the conversation. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't illegitimate, I'm supposed to be here. You feel what I mean? This mythology that black folks ain't upset about black on black violence. Man, I've been to 48 of the 50 states, every major city you can name, small towns, backwoods, everywhere I go, black folks have conversations about black on black violence. Everywhere I go, there's rallies and protests, all kinds of stuff. I meet people like Shayna in different communities doing work around black on black violence. But because certain people have controlled the conversation in this country, the same people who call black women like my mother welfare queens, y'all know what I'm talking about. Just trying to get over on welfare. No, we were poor. We needed welfare. You know what I mean? And so what ends up happening, I know you're not saying you believe it, but we start to regurgitate like monkeys or chimpanzees or slaves with slave mentalities, the stuff that's been said over and over again. So you hear black folks say, man, we don't say no when we kill each other. Yeah, we do. When's the last time you've been in Brooklyn, you ain't heard no one say something about black on black violence? You know what I mean? That's a lie. And so, but we gotta be able to articulate. This is why coming back to reading and studying and knowing your history and knowing what's going on in the society and current events and knowing policy, and as this brother just saying, being able to flip statistics. If you can't do that, then someone's just gonna stomp you and you ain't gonna be able to respond to it. Right. And every one of us has a responsibility to be as educated as possible. When someone says some nonsense to you like that, you say, no, actually, there's a sister named Shayna who's doing work around gun violence all over the city, you know, and she's out there in the front lines, and here's her website, here's her profile. So how you gonna say we ain't talking about black on black violence?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And well, I asked one more question about the whole gun violence thing. I always, usually when I hear about gun violence, usually about getting guns off the street and or us not using them, but nobody ever talks about educating the kids on being licensed to arm themselves. And goes back to when you talked about being prepared, because the way I am, I'm radical, you know what I mean? I think, shit, they come throw us in internment camps any given moment, you know what I mean? So we don't talk about becoming legal and having guns that we are. Well, we never signed those documents to say that those are our rights.
Let me
This is
say
another conversation.
Let me say this, homeboy, real talk, son, for real. You know what I'm saying? I've been in every kind of movement you can name over the last 30 years. Certain things, if you're really a revolutionary, if you're really radical, you don't say in public, number one. Real talk. And real talk, if you really are about some sort of revolution, my first thing is, man, are we mentally prepared? Are we physically prepared? Can we even run a city block? Can you run up some stairs? You know what I'm saying? Let's break it down like that. You know what I mean? If you're talking about that kind of stuff, have you even studied, you know, that guerrilla warfare overseas? Do you know who the Mau Mau's were, for example? You know what Che Guevara was about? You shaking your head? No, that's part of the problem right there. I've heard cats in Ferguson, here in Brooklyn, all over. Man, I'm ready to get some guns, son.
I didn't say that though. I was just talking. All right, no, I'm sorry.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was listening.
No, because I don't know. What you said to me just now was just like as if you thought I'm saying I think we should go out and shoot and start a revolution. I don't believe in a revolution because I think following a revolution you create another hierarchy because then you need a king.
All I'm saying, bro, is the most revolutionary thing we can do is educate ourselves, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna say everything that I believe because I don't know y'all like that. Real talk.
I don't know. You talking about integrity, man.
You know what I mean? But what I'm saying in this space, the most revolutionary thing you can have is your mind and understanding how to articulate and educate and mass produce yourself. You know, this sister and brother talking about it, like, you know, she was talking about role models, man. Like, man, you know what? How many of you black men out there show up at least one school in Brooklyn, Manhattan, whatever borough you live in once a month, so they can see that outside beyond rappers and ball players and hustlers, there's actually other possibilities out there. That's revolutionary to me.
I work as a paraprofessional, you know what I mean? I work at District 75 with the worst students.
So I'm sorry, I want to make sure that we get everybody, you're going to have a chance to come up to Brother Kevin and have that conversation. There was somebody who had their hand back there. Okay, so sister, go ahead and just tell us your name.
Good evening, I just want to first, my name is Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
Keisha. But, I just want to thank Kair and the Voice. We were two of the young people on the NAACP bus.
Yay!
My question, I guess, or comment, I'm not really sure, is directed at Shayna. Like you, my best friend, well, what I would consider my best friend is white. It's increasingly frustrating to continue to try to explain white privilege to him. How do you sustain motivation to continue on with that fight? Because I don't think that as black people, we should have to explain white privilege to white people. So how do you sustain that mentality of continuing on with that fight, as well as encouraging other people like myself to continue to explain?
Good question.
Yeah.
I can ask you that. I mean, honestly, I don't pretend to know everything, right?